Hey everyone, so today I'm going to be trying to replace the pressure gauge on this Breville Barista Express. I got this machine used and the pressure gauge has never worked on it, so I'm going to go ahead and replace it. And I couldn't find great tutorials online for how to do that, so I'm going to try to figure it out and post this to help any of you. So first things first, make sure you have the machine unplugged. You want to remove your water reservoir and set that aside. And then also you'll want to remove this bean hopper as well, which you can just turn and lift up, and then you have to scoop out the extra beans there. I'm going to do that and remove the drip tray as well and check back in. Alright, so I removed and emptied out this hopper. There's still just some beans down in there, right in the gears I can get to. So I'm going to power this back on. I've put the hopper and water tank back on. And I'm going to go ahead and just run the grinder a little bit just to completely empty it out. Just because once I get the top off of here, I don't want any beans or partially ground coffee, any retention that's in there. I don't want to have that make a mess anywhere. So just going to do that. Alright, we got a little bit out there. Unlock this again, and yeah, it's looking a lot better. Looking pretty clean in there. I did brush and vacuum this already. Alright, I'm going to power it off, unplug it, and remove the water reservoir again, and go ahead and start disassembling this. Alright, so it looks like there's 7 different screws. There's 5 along the back here that we're going to take out. And then over here, there's one right up in here where the tamper is, up in that hole, and then another one in that hole up there. And looks like there's some coffee splatter that I should clean up as well. So I'm going to go ahead and it's just a Phillips screwdriver for all of these, it looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and remove all those. Alright, so I have those screws out now. One thing I'll note is that they are not all the same length, so you may want to lay them out kind of like I have so that you know where each of them goes. Now once you do that, it looks like the top is loose here. So we're going to go ahead and lift that off. Let's see if we can do that. Alright. And it looks like I have some wires connected here to the grinder. Let me check into this. Alright, so the wires on the grinder here, that's the only wires that connect this in. And they pass through that little loop there. Sorry, all my hands are kind of used up here. So that white connector there, basically on the back side closest to the wires, you can press that little tab and it'll allow that to disconnect. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Alright, now that we have the top removed, you can see right down in here, this hose here goes down. And I don't know if I can get a light shining in there for you to see. Right there, you can see a connector. See that little silver thing there? There's the hose going to the gauge. So I think we're going to have to lift this whole front panel out. I'm going to remove these 2 screws here and start with that. Alright, now that these screws are out, you can actually just kind of push up with your thumbs on either side, right here and here, and push straight up gently, and this whole panel will lift up. But it's still connected, so you can't pull it all the way off. I don't have a tripod, so I'm going to have to turn the camera off for this, but just lift on either side here and here, and just pull kind of steadily. It kind of clicks in place. Alright, so we're really close now. There's a couple things we could do at this point. So probably the right way to do this would be to go ahead and take off all these screws and remove all the buttons and dials from here, because all these wires are connected. If you just pivot it up like this, you can leave them connected. And if you can kind of get down like this, you can actually get access to the gauge here. Basically, we're going to need to remove, let me set this down, remove the clip that goes right in here. My focus is bad, let me back up a bit. It's right here, it's on the other side, there's a little clip. Once I pull that out, I'll be able to disconnect the hose. And then on the back of the gauge, I'll show you on the new one here, there's this port here that's going to thread onto this. But there's also these two mounting screws, and those will have to disconnect from that plate. You can see them on either side. So I'm going to go ahead and remove those two nuts on the mounting screws, and then remove the gauge port, that big white plastic port. And once I do that, I think this gauge should come out the front, the defective gauge. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. All right, so now that I removed the little nut and lock washer from each of the studs on the back of the gauge here, and unthreaded this here fitting. This is the end of the hose. I actually didn't need to unclip that hose from that plastic connection at all. Now, one thing I saw, this is a clear plastic hose, and you can still see there's a little bit of residue in there, just a little bit of, looks like grinds in the water. So what I've been doing is taking a straw and putting some warm water in it and just putting it up on here, putting my finger on the other end of the straw to hold the water in, and then lifting this up and releasing it. And it's actually flushing it back down through the group, which I think will be good to get that line cleared out. And then I will go ahead and I'll be able to set the replacement gauge right in the front here. Just line it up, set it in. If I can align those holes. There we go. And then I'll just need to put these nuts and washers back on and reconnect that hose and reassemble everything, and we'll be ready to give it a test. All right, so the new gauge is installed, and putting this panel back in is pretty easy. Just put it back in place, and I just pinched right here and right here firmly, and it clips down. Just make sure that this wire that we disconnected here isn't in the way, and that you're aligning these tabs when you do that. Now we're going to go ahead and put the two screws back in here. Take this top, reconnect the wire. Pretty easy, you can only do it the one way, but you'll match up orange to orange and blue to blue. And then we'll put the top back on and install all of the screws. And I'm going to go ahead then and put the water reservoir back on, plug it in and everything, and give this a test. All right, moment of truth. We're going to turn this on, have everything back installed. It went together again really easily. When you're putting the screws back in, I would suggest starting with these ones here on the front, on either side, and then the ones along the back. As you do them, just make sure to put some down pressure on this plate, just to make sure everything lines up properly again. So I'm going to go ahead and pull a shot and see what it looks like, see if we can get that pressure gauge to work. I don't know that I mentioned, but the issue I was having with the gauge is that the shot would pull fine, but the gauge would just stay down at the bottom. It wouldn't read pressure at all. So we'll see if that's been fixed. All right, so moment of truth here. I have it all back together. I'm trying to dial in a new bean, so I'm not sure how this shot will look. But we'll see if this pressure gauge is working now. When I reassembled, I put these screws in first and then the ones on the back there. So let's go ahead and pull this shot and see how it does. Pre-infusion. Oh, we're way up over our espresso range. So I need to make an adjustment to my grind to go down, but the gauge is working. You can see the shot's pulling pretty slowly. So I need to change my grind setting, but good news, the gauge is now working and all is well. So that's it for this video. So this is the pressure gauge that I purchased. It's a SP0001567. I got it from eReplacementParts.com, and this fits two different models of the Breville Barista Express. I'd recommend checking out this website here. They have different models listed, different gauges for different models. You can see what you need. And it's pretty cheap. I think this cost about $23 at the time of purchase.